Good afternoon, I'm Herman Green with the Midday News. A policeman from Mobile Reserve is recovering in hospital after he was shot in the neck during a shootout with gunmen this morning in Hannahtown, downtown Kingston. The injured cop is a member of a team that responded to reports of gunfire in the area. Commanding officer for the Mobile Reserve, Assistant Commissioner Ronald Anderson, says shortly after 2 o'clock, police officers on patrol from Mobile Reserve responded to the shooting in Hannahtown.
Along Racecourse Lane, we're in the vicinity of the Remand Center. They saw some suspicious activities. The officers alighted from the vehicle and went to investigate when they were fired on. The officer was wearing a ballistic vest and it somehow cushioned the impact of the bullet. So there are fragmented bullets currently in his shoulder.
29 assorted rounds of ammunition were found in a knapsack during a subsequent search of the area. Police officers from Mobile Reserve combed Hannahtown and the surrounding areas in downtown Kingston for suspects involved in the shooting. A common-law couple was fatally shot at their home in Freetown, Clarendon last night. They have been identified as 22-year-old Javani Park and 24-year-old Raheem Morgan. About 11:30, residents reported hearing explosions and called the police. The police say the door to the couple's home was kicked in when they arrived. Both persons had bullet wounds to the upper body. 9 9mm spent casings were recovered from the scene. Miss Park and Mr. Morgan were transported to the Maypen Hospital where they were pronounced dead. The couple's 2-year-old daughter, who was at the scene of the crime, was not hurt in the attack. Messages of condolence continue to pour in following yesterday's sudden passing of Assistant Commissioner of Police Winchroy Budhoo. ACP Budhoo, who was in charge of the strategic operations portfolio, died at the Maypen Hospital after falling ill. In a statement, National Security Minister Robert Montague offered condolences to ACP Budhoo's family, colleagues and friends. Mr. Montague said the senior cop will be deeply missed. And in a statement this morning, the Jamaica Constabulary Force hailed ACP Budhoo as a patriotic citizen who served his country and the JCF with dignity and integrity. It was reported that yesterday the senior cop complained of feeling ill. Police Commissioner George Quayler outlined what happened on RJR's Beyond the Headlines yesterday evening.
Yesterday, he wasn't feeling very well. He went home. But knowing the very dedicated individual, this morning he was back at work very, very early, as per usual. Later on in the day, he started complaining of not feeling very well. And so went home and was en route to his doctor when he developed some complications. And by the time he reached there, despite the efforts of the medical personnel, the doctors, he was pronounced dead.
Not for the first time, some MPs are suggesting Jamaica reconsider its involvement in a regional disaster insurance policy that has cost the country billions with no payouts so far. In light of recent rains, which have damaged infrastructure and affected growth in some sectors, the issue was raised and discussed at a Gordon House committee meeting. According to the Financial Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Everton McFarlane, the ministry pays a premium for the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, or CRIF, every year. The policy should provide a financial cushion in the event of infrastructural damage due to nature. In 2016, the premium was 738 million Jamaican dollars. This year, 825 million has been budgeted for the policy. But since becoming a member of the regional insurance policy in 2007, Jamaica has not received a single payment despite several storms and hurricanes. Mr. McFarlane explained that that's because none of those storms met the agreed triggers set out in the policy.
The triggers are based on an objective assessment of the intensity of certain events. So it's based on measurements of wind speed, for instance, when it comes to hurricanes, the measurement of the level of rainfall when it comes to the excess rainfall.
And that's why the committee is now suggesting a review.
During the last 12 years, we have had some serious events in Jamaica, so I think we also have to look at the triggers, because it may well be that we have an insurance that even when you have severe conditions, you're still not hitting the trigger. It means you really have to look and see whether or not this insurance is focused on what really affects us.
Perhaps it is time for us to start renegotiating those parameters because the cumulative, well, if you sort of lump all the numbers together over that 10, 11-year period, we're running into 7 billion or thereabout.
The financial secretary agreed that it may be time to revisit or renegotiate the policy, but as he warned, that downward change would also impact the payback the country would receive in the event of a disaster. Though Jamaica has not received a payout since its inception in 2007, CRIF has made 12 payouts totaling $35 million to 8 of the 16 member governments. This includes payouts to Haiti after the devastating 2010 earthquake that killed thousands of people, as well as to Anguilla, Barbados, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines following Hurricanes Earl and Thomas. The motorist who was involved in Tuesday's crash, which claimed the life of a man on Denby Crescent in Clarendon, has been charged with dangerous driving. He is 24-year-old William Green. He is scheduled to appear in court today. Mr. Green was charged yesterday after 37-year-old Kennedy Rose died from injuries he sustained after being hit by a motor vehicle. Shortly after 6 o'clock Tuesday evening, Mr. Rose was standing at the gate of a shop when he was hit by a Toyota Fortuner. He was taken to hospital where he died while being treated. Residents who witnessed the incident say the driver of the vehicle was speeding. The police have issued nearly 200,000 traffic tickets since the start of the year. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says as at May 5, 184,566 tickets were issued. This represents a 24% increase over the corresponding period last year. The Prime Minister also disclosed that 313 motorcycles have been seized since January 1. Mr. Holness, who is chairman of the National Road Safety Council, provided the figures yesterday during a slowdown event as part of activities to commemorate the 4th United Nations Global Road Safety Week. He said the government is committed to reducing road crashes in Jamaica by 50% by 2020.
Closely at the implementation of technology in managing traffic. And so very soon you will be seeing that there will be implemented a camera system for ticketing and tracking speed of motor vehicles across Jamaica. We now have GIS data, Geographic Information Systems data, so we know exactly where are the hotspots, where are the areas with the greatest probability for accidents to occur. And the data is directing us to those areas, and I have given again a directive to the NWA. And there are certain areas which are well known that we will have to put in traffic calming measures, safety measures to ensure that we reduce the number of crashes in those areas.
2 men are in police custody after a motor car which was stolen last Thursday in Junction St. Elizabeth was spotted by residents in Donegal district of the Newmarket police area early Wednesday morning. Reports indicate that around 3:15 a.m., residents called the police and one of the men was handed over. Another man who had escaped before the police arrived was later captured at the premises in Woodland district in the parish. A red Honda Fit was recovered. According to operations officer in the parish, Deputy Superintendent Paul Bernard, the man who had escaped eluded the police on Monday in Holland Bamboo, leaving behind a motorbike, which they believe was also stolen.
This suspect is St. Elizabeth's main violence producer. Several vehicles have been recovered in his possession over the last year. But it happened. So
this man will be charged?
Sure, we have enough evidence and statements, and this man will be charged for the larceny of this motor car.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister says Jamaica has seen a reduction in road fatalities and hopes it can be sustained. He added that the new roads that are being constructed are built with safety features. Mr. Holness said the roads are easier to maneuver and drivers don't need to speed.
We're on an exercise to improve our roadways. We're building more highways with better road surfaces. It means that vehicles can use the roads much faster than they could before. That also means that the government has to, from the outset, design our roads with safety.
Used car dealers say there is need for details regarding the government's plan to increase the age limit for vehicles being imported for use as taxis and for farming purposes. Commerce Minister Karl Samuda announced on Tuesday that the age limit for these vehicles will move from 5 years to 8 years. But the Jamaica Used Car Dealers Association has issued a mixed response to the move.
So I believe it's a great move as it relates to the farm vehicles. However, as it relates to the taxi vehicles, we would like to know what's their classification or what they regard as taxi vehicles, because any vehicle can be regarded as a taxi vehicle. And we would want some more information from the minister regarding this before we make further comments. So as soon as we get that from the minister, which we will seek in the very, very near future, we will respond.
Young persons in Jamaica are being urged to create solutions and move the country forward. State Minister for National Security, Colonel Charles Jr., made this assertion recently while addressing an Ideathon meeting held in association with the Institute of Law and Economics and the World Bank. He noted that young persons should pay keen attention to socio-economic issues in the country.
Just relating to you becoming entrepreneurs, but why do we still have problems with access to water? Why do we have some Jamaicans who right now will go home and have no access to clean water, light, affordable energy, books?
Mr. Charles stated that ideas generated have the possibility to reshape Jamaica for the better. And that's the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Join us for a primetime news package at 7. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.